this video, we'll look at some shapes of histograms that commonly occur in the real world. So I've made up some data that represent IQs. As you probably know, the average IQ is 100. Most people have IQs between 70 and 130. I made up some data, number of days from conception till a woman gives birth. I made up some data which is supposed to represent income of American families. And so I created a histogram of all three of these based on the data. You can check me if you want, using what we learned in the last video. And so let's look at the IQ histogram. You can see the IQs are centered around 100. And if you move one bar to the left and one bar to the right, the bars are around the same height. 2 bars to the left of 100, 2 bars to the right, the bars are around the same height. And that's what's called a symmetric histogram. It looks the same to the left and right of the peak. We'll see why that's important in some later videos. Looks the same left and right of the highest bar, which is where the most frequently occurring data is. The highest bar in a histogram is where you see the most frequently, it's where the data is concentrated. Okay, so that's a metric histogram. You'll see the importance of that later. Now I looked at family income. You definitely in the US or any country probably would not get a symmetric histogram. And what you'll get is a bar that peaks, and then the bars go much further to the right than to the left of the highest bar. This is what's called positively skewed histogram. Or skewed to the right. And you can see this behavior because basically family income is in the US. Basically there's a lot of people, there's few people who make a lot of money and a lot of people who make a little bit of money. So you can't go much below, let's say, the highest bar, which might be around 50,000 for family income, but people can make millions of dollars a year, billions of dollars a year even. So the bars are going to go further to the right. So that's called a positively skewed histogram, or skewed to the right. Now, if you look at the number of days from conception to birth, it averages around 9 months, as you know, 280 days. But it can rarely go much higher than that. I don't know what the Guinness Book of World Records is for number of days from conception to birth, but it certainly can't be much over 300 days. So if your biggest bar is around 280 days, you can see, okay, we can't go as far, we go much further to the left. Babies are born, thankfully, and survive very well if they were born 6 months after conception, 7 months after conception, 8 months after conception. But the bars don't go any further, the bars go much further to the left of the peak than to the right of the peak. That's called negatively skewed histogram, or skewed to the left. Okay, and in business data, that's fairly rare. We'll talk about ways to quantitatively measure skewness in a couple of videos from now. Now, a common thing that will happen is something like what I'm showing in the sheet bimodal. So I have diameters of rods, and let's suppose these diameters are supposed to average 0.5 inches. Let's see what the average is. 0.4999. So the average diameter is around what it's supposed to be, 0.5 inches, which is what we want. But almost nothing has a diameter close to 0.5 inches. There are a lot of rods that are much less than 0.5 inches, where 0.01 inches is a lot, and a lot of rods that are more than 0.1 inches above average. Okay, and what you see here is really sort of two distinct sets of data. You see a peak around 0.48 and 0.49 inches, and a peak around 0.52 and 0.53 inches in diameters. And what this probably means is there are two machines making the rods, two different populations, and one is centered too low. Maybe the mean is about 0.48 inches or so, or the mean is less than 0.5 inches, and one is sort of set too high, or we'll say set too high, the mean greater than 0.5 inches. So on the average, things come out right, but everything would be a defective rod, basically, if we needed to be exactly very close to 0.5 inches. And so if you see a histogram where things sort of don't look like any of the pictures that we've shown you in the first worksheet, then there may be multiple populations at hand there. And basically, then you should try and separate the populations and do a histogram for each one. Okay, that concludes our discussion of the shape of histograms. And we'll plunge onward and talk about describing data sets using statistical measures that you probably learned about, excuse me, a long time ago in a galaxy far away in a class known as statistics.
Okay, so thanks for watching, and there's a free course, a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, and all of these videos are coming from one of three books. So first, this one, which you can see here at the top of the screen, Microsoft's book, which has 355 reviews, and then it's, let's see, 4.6 stars. It's coming from this book as well, his marketing analytics book, which is down here, and you can sort of see 4.5, or his newest book, his analytics stories book, which is here. And with that one, you can see it's 4 point something, or maybe even 5. I don't think it's 5. Yeah, 4.8. And so, yeah, anyways, in the description, there's a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, or you can go to excelwithwayne.com/free, and it'll be there. But again, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just please let us know. Thanks.